Artemis II mission is a test mission of the Orion space capsule.
Artemis II will be the first time we put humans on this rocket.
We're going back to the moon because it's the next step in our journey to Mars.
We were always going to the moon.
Pushing ourselves to explore is just core to who we are. That's a part of being a human.
And liftoff. We shall return.
Continuing to test out every bit of Orion.
Coming back to Earth, 7 miles a second.
When humanity sets big goals, we can bring together genius from around the world.
You have the best people on planet Earth putting this vehicle together. That's what's up.
To innovate for the benefit of humanity and to inspire the world through discovery.
And here we go.
1972, 2:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Command Module America splashes down in the Pacific with Gene Cernan, Ron Evans, and Jack Schmitt aboard as the Apollo 17 mission came to an end, along with humanity's first series of expeditions to the moon. Today at this hour, you are looking live at our planet from the Integrity spacecraft, heading for a splashdown in the Pacific off the coast of San Diego just 1 hour and 35 minutes from now. And good day from the Artemis Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, where the entry flight control team is on duty at this hour, led by Flight Director Rick Henfling, joined on console with the voice you'll hear talking to the crew throughout the course of the day. That is Jackie Mahaffey, second from your left. Everything has gone extremely well as we are closing in on the return of Artemis's astronauts from their flight around the moon and historic lunar flyby that will culminate with that splashdown in the Pacific off the coast of San Diego just 1 hour and 35 minutes from now.
And with that, it's a good entry pad, and we can continue in the procedure.
Integrity.
You're looking at a live view inside Integrity. Reid Wiseman on the left doing a fist bump with pilot Victor Glover on the right, and down in the middeck area just below their feet, suited up in their launch and entry suits, are mission specialists Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. A number of milestones yet to unfold before splashdown just over an hour and a half from now. Earlier today, the crew woke up at about 10:35 a.m. Central Time. They completed the final major maneuver of the flight, that being the return trajectory correction 3 burn. It was an 8-second burn that fine-tuned its trajectory to enter a corridor over the Pacific Ocean a short time from now. That will be the point of entry interface, where the crew will reach the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. The crew moved into its entry checklist just after 4 p.m. Central Time, suited up in those launch and entry suits, conducted leak checks, and now are in the final stages of their entry checklist.
Instruction 115 of entry checklist. SM separation ATP is go.
The next major milestone on tap for the crew will be the handover of communications from the Deep Space Network to the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System. The Deep Space Network came into play after the translunar injection burn back on April 2nd that propelled Integrity toward its lunar flyby. We'll be back on the TDRS network here in about 41 minutes. Following that, the next activity will be the pyrotechnic separation of the crew module from the European service module. That is scheduled at 6:33 p.m. Central Time, followed 4 minutes later by one final critical maneuver. That will be a 19-second burn of Integrity's thrusters in what is called the crew module raise burn. Now, what that does is it basically acts. If you were sitting in a reclining chair, you'd basically tilt yourself back. It raises the aft end of Integrity ever so slightly, and that is the final opportunity for us to fine-tune the angle of attack of Integrity through the area of peak heating at entry interface. That will come a bit later on, about an hour and 18 minutes from now. Then we get set up for the parachute deployment sequence. First, the deployment of 3 forward bay cover chutes that will pull essentially the top forward bay cover off the very top of the Integrity vehicle. That will be followed by the deployment of drogue chutes, and then the final deployment of a series of 3 main parachutes at 7:04 and 44 seconds p.m. Central Time. From that point on, it is about 3 minutes or so until splashdown. Splashdown scheduled at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time at a gentle speed of 19 miles an hour. So just to give you some perspective, at the time that we enter the Earth's atmosphere, we're traveling somewhere around Mach 32. We will splash down at a speed of about 19 miles an hour. The G-forces that will build on the crew members inside Integrity will build to about 3.9 Gs. That is what is expected and what they have trained for and what the spacecraft is designed to support. Thank you, Megan. Back here at the Johnson Space Center, the entry team of flight controllers looking over the shoulders of Reid Wiseman and Victor Glover there on the flight deck of Integrity, and again, just below their feet in the mid-deck area, if you will, Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. They're in the final review of their entry procedures and all of the activities that will follow here very shortly in trip hammer fashion. Integrity will be entering the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling at about 34,882 feet per second, heading for its splashdown site.
Returning from the moon is a lot different than deorbiting from low Earth orbit. When we return from the moon, we expect to achieve velocities upwards of 36,000 feet per second. And in order to slow down to a nice, graceful splashdown in the Pacific Ocean, the flight crew is going to experience between 3 and 4 times the force of Earth's gravity. On Artemis I, pressure buildup inside the char layer of the heat shield resulted in the char losses we saw. NASA established a Tiger team whose job was to investigate the cause of the problem and then make recommendations on how to fly the Artemis II mission safely and successfully. And so for Artemis II, we are going to fly a profile that ensures the spacecraft will not see that same type of pressure profile. And so the char losses seen on Artemis II will not be like the ones that we saw on Artemis I.
Integrity is passing over the southwest coast of Australia now at an altitude of some 7,600 nautical miles. That will begin the southwest and northeasterly transit across the Pacific Ocean. We're 2 minutes away from a quick burst of the reaction control system. Thrusters, that will be a hot fire test prior to the separation of the crew module from the service module. The European service module has performed flawlessly throughout this flight. Everything, all the burns that had been prescribed for that service module have been executed on time and without a problem. There is the European flight control room that has overseen the manufacturing, the design of the European service module. They deserve quite a bit of credit on this mission for not only propelling the Integrity and its astronauts toward the moon, but also conducting the fine-tuning of its trajectory to bring it to this point where we are dead spot on down the middle of the corridor trajectory-wise to bring Integrity down for its splashdown in the Pacific. Coming up on 1 minute. Mark 1 minute till crew module, service module separation. And we have confirmation of crew module, service module separation, and a great view, albeit momentarily.
Houston, good step on board.
Houston copies and concurs.
The European service module now separated from Integrity, a job well done.
Houston, we got a great view of the European service module out the window with the sun hitting the side and the solar rays and the NASA worm right there. It's a beautiful looking machine.
Range to touchdown 4,300 nautical miles, all the systems in excellent shape.
Integrity, Orion in the EI roll 180 attitude.
Looks good on board, Jackie.
This view out of one of Integrity's windows. We had a call for 3 good baros. Those are barometric pressure sensors that feed altitude and rate of descent information to Integrity's computers that will trigger the parachute deployment sequence. We are less than 9 minutes away from entry interface, 22 minutes from splashdown. You can see the reflection of one of the crew members in the window. Out in the Pacific, the weather conditions remain go. Just a few clouds, some scattered clouds, winds at 10 knots, wave heights just about 4 feet. A gentle day in the Pacific for the homecoming of Integrity's astronauts.
Houston, purge is complete. Crew and vehicle are configured for entry.
Houston copies.
And we're in step 37, transferring nav state to BFS.
Now 6 minutes away from entry interface. We will hit the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling about 34,882 feet per second. Range to splashdown at that point will be 1,701 nautical miles. And once again, just a reminder, some 24 seconds after entry interface, we do expect to lose communications with the vehicle and the crew during a 6-minute blackout period when a plasma shield will build up around the spacecraft due to the ionization, due to heating effects. And Flight Dynamics has just confirmed we will have a blackout period of exactly 6 minutes in duration. And once again, that's due to the fact that a plasma buildup around the vehicle will prevent communications and data, so we will not be able to talk to the crew members at that time, nor will we receive data here in the flight control room.
Houston, everything is looking good on board. Just confirm no pre-EI downloads.
Houston concurs.
That blackout period to begin at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time, and again will last about 6 minutes in duration. We're 4 minutes away from entry interface. This view from Integrity as it crosses from southwest to northeast across the Pacific Ocean, 3 minutes from entry interface. "16.5 minutes till splashdown." The USS John P. Murtha and the recovery team is on station and in position, as are the airborne imagery assets that we hope to receive imagery from as Artemis enters the Earth's atmosphere and through parachute deployment. All of Integrity's systems are in great shape. The crew is ready to complete its mission just 15.5 minutes from now. All of the activities today have gone off in perfect fashion. No issues with the vehicle, no issues with the crew. And the weather at the splashdown site is go. Coming up on 1 minute until entry interface. Mark 1 minute until entry interface. 1 minute, 20 seconds until the expected start of our 6-minute blackout.
Integrity, 1 minute to a 6-minute blackout.
Integrity.
Ten seconds till entry interface. And we have crossed the threshold, now entering the Earth's atmosphere. We're at 400,000 feet, traveling 34,800 feet per second. Time to splash down, 13 minutes, 10 seconds. And as predicted, we've entered our communications blackout. This will be a 6-minute blackout period. No voice, no data from the crew. We're 30 seconds away from the anticipated point of peak heating on the vehicle, where temperatures will rise to about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the true test of our trajectory. And from the G5 aircraft in the vicinity of the splashdown zone, this view of Integrity. So that pinpoint of light shows the vehicle as it enters the period of peak heating in the Earth's atmosphere, the first tug of gravity being felt by Integrity's astronauts since their launch back on April 1st. Four and a half minutes until the end of the blackout period. Time to splash down, 11 minutes, 33 seconds. The landing and support officer reports that the P-3 has acquisition on Integrity. 3.5 minutes left in this blackout period. This is a visualization of the plasma buildup around the spacecraft and the repelling of that heat on Integrity's heat shield. Time to splashdown, 9 minutes, 35 seconds. We're standing by for communications from the crew. We should be out of the blackout period less than a minute from now. We are now processing data from Integrity. Passing through 150,000 feet, our trajectory is perfect. We're getting intermittent views of Integrity. Still waiting to establish voice communication.
Integrity, Houston, comm check, post-blackout.
Houston, Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
Your trajectory is nominal, and your recovery teams have visual.
Guidance looks good.
No action for the enabled internal camera controller fail.
Big cheers from the viewing room here in Mission Control as voice communication reestablished with Commander Reid Wiseman. For America and a waiting world, Integrity is 5.5 minutes away from coming home. Passing 100,000 feet now. Range to splashdown 19 nautical miles.
Integrity, impact to the camera controller fail is no Cab 1 views of the chutes.
Integrity.
We're processing good data through the GPS system. A good view of Integrity, time to splashdown 4.5 minutes. And a view of Integrity from the WB-57. We're at 50,000 feet. The pyros are armed for forward bay cover jettison. And there go the first series of parachutes, and we're on drogues.
And Houston, we're visual 2 drogues out the window.
2 good drogue chutes. Next up.
We copy, we see them.
Next up, the deployment of pilot parachutes that will pull the main chutes out. Time to splash down 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Perfect descent rate according to flight dynamics.
Good rates on 2 drogues.
We see the same on board.
Passing through 10,000 feet, still on drogues. Main chute deploy. We're at 5,000 feet. Search and recovery beacon has been activated on Integrity. And we have 3 good main chutes. Good 3 main chutes, good reefing, good descent rate.
Good rates, and we see 3 good-looking parachutes. Integrity, cabin pressure indicates no need for hydrazine checks.
Integrity copies.
This is a perfect descent for Integrity. Its crew sounding hale and hearty on board. Time to splashdown 1 minute, 15 seconds. Integrity about to complete a journey spanning 694,481 miles from its launch from the Kennedy Space Center back on April 1st, and a trip around the moon. Passing through 1,000 feet.
Houston Integrity, splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
Splashdown confirmed.
Copy splashdown, waiting on VLDR.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time. From the pages of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon, a new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete. Integrity's astronauts back on Earth.